Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I'm joined by my Myron.
Woo! What a weekend of wrestling on television, Nick. That was wonderful.
Let me ask you before we get started and get too deep, and we're not going to go into specifics because I want to make you hold off. I don't want you to get too ahead of ourselves here. Was that not one of the best wrestling weekends in a long, long time?
Since they used to have the big NXT shows on Saturdays and the WWE pay-per-views on Sunday, yeah, that was a phenomenal weekend of wrestling.
I'm with you, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably one of the better weekends I've had watching wrestling, and I've talked and I've done a couple of mind dumps, and one of them specifically addressed something friend of the show Gary Lamb said about there's TV product and there's live show. There's two different things. And I think we saw both. So if you're not a member, you should be. Because you could become a member over on our channel right here on YouTube. Sign up, become a member. You get to. I'm dumping those things every day. Well, I'm not saying every day. Every day that something pops into my head that I think's worth talking about, I'm putting it there on YouTube. Make sure you obviously subscribe to the page, like it, turn on your notifications, all that good stuff. But if you're a member, you just get the stuff, man. Like I said, I'm trying to.
Oh yeah.
A couple times a week at minimum on top of the show. I'm putting them in there. You get the show early. I mean, there's a couple stuff like that, but
all kind of good things. I put a teaser video out yesterday to show some of what we do on the secret behind the scenes stuff. So I hope y'all are enjoying it, and I think it's one of the greatest values in professional wrestling media today.
And I'm learning to play. But I installed my beta copy. Is that probably the word I'm looking for that for the new Indy Pro Wrestling 2022?
Or however you say that. That's right.
I appreciate James for letting us. I'm gonna beta test it. And I wanted to. Here's the thing. I want to play. I'm gonna put some of it. I'm gonna mess around with it on YouTube. But I thought you might want to figure out how to fucking play the game before you start trying to fiddle around on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I got into my Steam the other day and put a request in so I can get it early on it.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
But like I said, a lot of that stuff obviously goes to the members first. They'll see it. But then that particular video eventually it'll be public because I want everybody to see the cool game. I did tinker with it this morning. Unfortunately, I forgot that it wasn't Mac compatible, so I had to fire up the old Windows PC, had to dust it off, and get it all going.
Oh, you Apple people!
It's not even that, man. It's just I don't use it a ton. So unfortunately, like I said, I had to dust it off. I'm like, I'm gonna have to build an OBS so I can actually screen record it, and over on my PC. I haven't used it for so long, But anyway, man, let's not sidebar and get too far lost on this. Let's go down the path. Look, we got questions, and a lot of them were the same, so we're just going to hit the topics, not questions as far as questions go. But let's look. Obviously, the first thing, Myron, is everybody's asking about SummerSlam, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never seen a tractor used in a wrestling match before.
We've seen forklifts. We've seen, beer trucks. We've seen all that kind of crazy stuff. But that was new.
He dumped Roman out of the bucket at one time. Yeah. Okay. Paul going through the announce table. How insane was that?
SummerSlam was, here's the crazy thing. It was a spectacle show. It was the WrestleMania of the summer. It really was.
Yes, very much so, and it usually is a good show, but that show was incredibly strong. The worst part on the whole show was to me the opening match, Sasha and Becky and Bianca. But it was a good match. It just was a little botchy at times. The rest of the matches
we've had that conversation.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. The counters weren't always countering. Yes.
So
I know we don't say that word.
No, I'm going to have to actually say the word in a minute because when we talk about another one. But let's just at this moment, let's take the tractor and dump the heaps of praises upon Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns for entertaining us in that main event. Look, it's
holy shit.
It goes back to what Gary Lamb said. Friend of the show, Southern Honor, tip to cap. It's about moments, and Brock Lesnar, created that moment at Smackdown for his kid, his son, and his friends. Yeah. But it's the same thing. Like the things we're going to remember about SummerSlam are the moments of SummerSlam, and it's going to be lifting a ring up with a tractor, and literally it stayed like it was literally lifted up. The
Yeah.
remaining after that, and
So many OSHA violations.
well, there was one that was actually I'm making a comment that like when they were wrestling the match, I'm like the bucket's too low. Somebody's going to hit their fucking head on it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
really
was
was
scared.
worried about it.
Yes. It was very scary. It was very, it seemed real. I mean, seriously, it was it was a very, very looming, dangerous thing right there staring at you. Oh God, they're going to hit their heads. Oh no. I haven't felt like that in a wrestling match in a long time.
Yeah, I
I've
mean,
not
and
felt
you know what
somebody's
felt
life
real,
was on the
Myron? Because
line.
it was real. They beat the shit
Yeah.
out of each other. You could tell, like they were
Yes.
literally just like laying their shit in it. I mean, like you
Oh
said,
yeah.
between the Usos and Theory and Heyman,
Ooh.
it was a spectacle of a match. And look, we're gonna talk about Brock a little more in a minute because like what now, right? But before we go to that next topic, look, let's talk about some other things. Logan Paul. Look, I know
Yes.
haters, call them whatever. Haters are going to hate that whole saying. But you can't discount the clear efforts that this kid is training, putting his
Oh
time in.
yeah.
Like I know for a fact. I mean, I personally know he's training down there with Gangrel in Miami in that area, and he's putting in the hard work, and it's freaking paying off. Like I mean,
Oh Jesus Christ. Yeah. And
like
how cool is that to come in and work a couple times a year and make those big checks? And oh God, that guy is really doing it, man. He is killing it. Uh, Phenomenal athlete, just a phenomenal athlete, a great wrestler for someone who's what, second match.
yeah.
Jesus
It's like
Christ,
they
Nick,
said,
he's
he's
great.
taken to it like a duck, in water, man. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just like it's not even.
Wow.
People underestimate the fact that like, oh, he's just some YouTube guy. Well, no, he's been an athlete. I mean, it's not like he was never an athlete. So he has that. He has something a lot of people don't have, and I kind of addressed that a little bit on one of Behind the Paywall about somebody that's not real happy, and it's because we're like, well, it's because there's a lacking in the character department. That ain't Logan Paul. Logan Paul's got the
No. Mm-mm.
character. I mean, he's got the charisma.
Mm-mm.
And it was my take was it's really hard to have watched that match and shit on it. Like
Yeah.
but now I will be because I would honestly say the same thing about Pat McAfee in the Happy Corbin match.
Wow. Yeah.
This is where some of the B word comes up. People were like, "Oh, well, he botched this spot and he botched that." So, like, when he ran and, like, leaped to the top rope, he didn't land smooth.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. That was so shitty. God, that was horrible, Nick. I can't believe he couldn't jump up onto the top rope.
But that's my whole point of, like, when fights happen. But you want my take? The Ronda Liv match was even more people were talking about it. And I'm like, Ronda and Liv looked like a legit fight. And that's why
Yes.
it was sloppy. They looked like they were
Yes.
fighting. It didn't. And to me, give me a match that looks like a fight because because if everything's trying to be so smooth and then you mess up, it's like But those two looked like they were just scrapping and fighting.
Oh, and that finish was so awesome, man.
Yes.
That I loved that match. I was Liv just like I didn't know she was capable of putting on that high caliber of match, man. That was great.
And I know a lot of people are complaining and saying like, oh, well, the match got cut because of this, that, or whatever. I mean, they served their purpose, and maybe that's the whole. They achieved their goal, But
yeah,
I thought the matches across the board were all really good. There wasn't too much that I didn't like. I mean, listen, we got the ending. We got the ending of Becky and Bianca. That's a good thing. I think we're going to move on past that. We're getting some new stuff. I think that's the big thing. We're getting new stuff. And Bailey and her new faction coming.
Yeah.
Io Sky, I guess is what they're going to call her instead of Io Shirai. I thought the rename. And Dakota Kai back. Like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't even working for him.
Right.
She got released.
Yeah, but she's back clearly. But so I think.
And on the main roster.
It gets a mix and it gets a change, which is good. But it's also, to me, the sign of, like, just more changes. We're evolving, and we're having, you know, some better stuff coming down the pipe. I hope that's where we're heading.
Okay, I was looking at something I saw one of your posts. You had a conversation going back and forth with a guy. You had said that this is the start of the, what did they call it?
Tommy Dreamer named it. I will fully give him credit for it.
Okay.
Tommy Dreamer calls it the game era.
The game era.
The
okay.
game era. Yep.
So, how much was leftover Vince, and how much was game?
So, I know Hunter at one of the press conferences, somebody'd ask him about it, and his whole take was like he wasn't going to do surprises and shakeups just for the sake of doing them. He would only do them if it made sense. You know, but then and listen, this is all for leaks and, you know, rumored anyway, whatever. So this is the part where we kind of go down that avenue. And one of them is that Becky wasn't going to turn babyface under Vince. He's going to leave her heel. Okay. I don't know that Ronda would have turned heel, which it looks like she has. But here's the thing. This is where I was going with that a minute ago and completely lost my train of thought. I don't know why I did, but I did. The fans were already cheering Becky. They want to cheer Becky.
Yeah.
Just get it over with.
She's a great face, bad heel. Yeah. Not a good heel.
Well, I mean, just get it over with. You know what I mean? I'm like, just stop fighting it. Quit trying to ice skate uphill.
Ronda is an amazing heel.
I think she likes being a heel. So just turn her heel and just roll with it. Mm-hmm. Quit fighting things. The Bayley faction supposedly was a total Triple H thing that Vince shot it down when it was presented before. So that's a total Triple H thing. Whatever.
If I were to
also,
speculate,
by the way, hold on. I'm going to ask you this. Okay. I also don't think, and I know people are going to disagree because of the whole. You remember when Brock superplexed Big Show and the ring broke, and then I think they did it again or whatever. Yeah. But a lot of people are like, Vince holds the ring kind of in high esteem, I guess. I don't know that Vince would have I think the tractor might have been like a Brock / Triple H idea. I don't know that Vince would have ever let him get out there with a tractor and try to basically wreck the ring kind of thing.
That was dangerous. That was legitimately dangerous.
It could have gone, and people don't get it. Like that first hit when he moved the ring and it shifted, like it could have gotten ugly. But kudos for pulling it off, which will I'm going to come back to that about pulling off crazy stunts because, there's a conversation later in the show that will address some of that. And the Usos prove, in my opinion, Myron, I had an argument with a guy about this. There's somebody a pretty famed wrestling-wise, and I said the Usos are still probably one of the, if not the best pure tag team in wrestling. Better than FTR?
Currently?
Yeah, I may say that. Yeah, I'm not saying all time. I'm talking about current. Yeah. Don't go crazy on me now.
I think they're probably top 10 all time.
Could be.
I love FTR. I love it. FTR worked like a tag team from my childhood, though. The Usos are next level. They can do so many things, and yet still just stand up and fight. So,
yeah,
I think the Usos are probably the best current tag team.
And so, I mean, look, let's put a bow on SummerSlam by just saying, here's my thoughts. Ooh. You've got Logan Paul's, you got Pat McAfee's, and so forth that are building the entertainment and for the casual fan. You still, Brock Lesnar obviously kind of doing both. You've got Bianca and Becky and the Mysterios and Edge returning and all these.
Oh yeah.
To keep your diehards, happy as well. They had a good Raw. I thought people over exaggerated because oh my God, Triple H booked it. It was great. It was a good Raw. Smackdown was very good as well. SummerSlam was really good. Tonight we're going to find out how good Raw is again as a follow-up, and let's see if we got
I'm looking forward to it. Think about it,
Why would you not be?
I'm looking forward to Raw like I did in the 90s. Okay? I am stoked for this tonight. I'm looking forward to 3 effing hours of wrestling. Wow.
Yeah.
They did their job. Everything's working for them right now, in my opinion.
If everybody has a right to their opinion, and I wholeheartedly believe that. I've always said that because you're not right about what's good wrestling and what's bad wrestling. Me neither. But my take was if you watch SummerSlam and you thought it was a bad pay-per-view, the entire thing, you probably shouldn't be watching WWE at this point, because I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, that would be the
Yeah.
thing. You would have to not be a WWE. You'd have to dislike WWE to not like that
Right.
pay-per-view.
You have to be anti WWE to have not enjoyed something
Yes.
that was on that show. And I mean a lot of it, but that's, but what
You
the
also
hell am I?
probably got your dick in a rat trap or something.
Exactly.
Because I mean, it was hard not to smile during that show.
Exactly.
Ugh.
But some of the cool stuff happened after they went off of the air, obviously. Brock Lesnar, and there you see the shot, by the way, of the ring lifted up and, blah, 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 post-match. So I had a couple people message me and say, like, okay, so what's next for Brock now? Like, if he, because, they built that match, and that was it. Him and Roman are done. Like, they're not going back down that path again. And somebody said, well, Brock's gone for good. Well, I hate to tell you, folks, they billed him for day one here in Atlanta. He's the person on the poster. Like, he's the one literally they're advertising it with.
So what's day one going to be, just by the way?
Day one it's just like last year. It's going to become a new annual pay-per-view. And look, you want my take on it? Fucking Atlanta's a great city to do it for on New Year's. It's New Year's night. Day one. Makes sense, right? Get it? Day one, January 1st.
Yeah.
Here in Atlanta. How awesome, right?
I'm stoked.
I mean, it's an international. If they could turn Atlanta, because it's an international airport, you can get in and out of. And I don't know if you people know, if you're not from Atlanta and you're listening to this show, Atlanta's one hell of a party town.
Yeah.
There's lots of places you can go downtown to have a good time. I'm just saying.
Nice hotels.
I ain't talking about hotels.
Well, I'm just mentioning,
let me put it this way. When day one's over, especially on New Year's, there's some fun establishments you can go to. I'll leave it at that. But
Pink Pony.
it's overrated. But anyway.
Oh shit! I've always wanted to go to Magic City.
Myron at Magic City, folks. Mental image. But if Brock is in town, though, the question becomes, let's go back to
Brock Lesnar. Sorry.
Yeah, who's next? Like, it's not a Goldberg moment, but who's next for Brock? And we threw some out there. Look, some of them, by the way, are totally never going to happen. And I'm going to take them out of order on purpose just to mess with you. Somebody messaged me and was like, how about Gunther? Like,
that'd be good.
Yeah. Now, I honestly, which was weird, I would have preferred old Gunther.
Yeah.
Bigger, thicker Gunther. But, hey, I'm not saying he ain't a bad dude, and they would be fun.
Yeah.
Those two would literally beat the shit out of each other, I got a feeling.
Oh, yeah.
So, Gunther's not a bad one in my take.
No.
Riddle, I like just for the sake of that whole MMA background. And by the way, in interviews, Riddle has said he'd love to be the one to retire Brock Lesnar.
Riddle can really go. He's not just a gimmick. He's a fighter. I'd like to see that. I think that would be really good.
No, it would be. I think that they could do the MMA stuff a little bit and make some story out of it, and
Yeah.
Here's the thing: what I like about Riddle, I think you could make Riddle in that feud without him winning, like the not quit, the not give up, and then Brock maybe as a baby face, Cowboy Brock pays him a respect at the end of like, yeah, you didn't quit. He gets his Undertaker Jeff Hardy moment.
Oh.
Where you got my respect, kid. I beat the shit out of you, but you didn't quit and you hung in there. That kind of moment. That's where I thought you could go with that one. Now, you want to go in a completely different direction? I know you hate this answer, but Kevin Owens.
Well, he's a Canadian, and Brock lives in Canada. It could be different. It'd be dramatically different than what we've seen in the past. And Brock's got a character now.
That's my question to you. Is that the reason I like the Kevin Owens answer? We know Triple H likes him. He's a big fan of Kevin Owens. So don't be shocked to even see a continued push with Triple H as the head creative, right? But wouldn't it just be a change of pace for Brock to have a fun feud. Like, you can have a feud, but it could be like Kevin Owens is great at putting humor in feuds.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest with it. People can knock it all they want. The Ezekiel shit's funny.
Oh yeah,
It
that
is
was funny.
But I could see promos with those two going at it where it's just there's a lot of humor into even though they probably want to, or Brock wants to kill him. They can have some fun with it. I also think that Lashley, because that just writes itself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, do you think if you put but here's my off take on it, Myron.
Mm-hmm.
Put a little pepper on that U.S. title, man. What if Brock was going for the U.S. championship?
That would be interesting.
What if Brock won the United States championship?
That would be even more interesting. Because that's not your main title, and you're putting your super guy in one of your lower grade titles. I'd be interested in seeing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last but not least, I have a weird take on this one. Drew McIntyre. They had their big match at Mania, but it was Pandemic Mania where nobody got to watch it. They were in front of nobody. Wouldn't you like to see those two at least wrestle with a crowd? I mean, the reactions they would get from the fans.
It could be fun. That could be interesting.
Here's my take on Drew McIntyre, by the way. And this is something I think, look, I mean, if you agree with me, awesome. If you don't, let me know at tappedoutpod@gmail.com. The thing that WWE does well, a lot of people are like, Drew was on top. He was a main guy. He was the champ. They took the belt off of him, and he slid down the card. He was involved in stupid feuds and blah, 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 and everybody complained. Yeah. He fucking won a match on Smackdown, and he's back in the main event title picture. He's wrestling Roman at this Clash at the Castle on this UK pay-per-view. How about my weird take? I think he wins.
Yeah, over there, he's going to have to win.
I think if WWE ever, I mean, like, I get you didn't want to put it back on Brock. Brock's going to take a break, blah, blah, blah. To give them a moment, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I would do it. Why not have a moment of Drew McIntyre in that stadium over there in the UK holding up the titles, I take that back because it's both. You could drop it back to Roman if that's what you want. I get it. And the whole 700, look, he's never Hogan was like 1,400 days or something crazy. I'm like, look, you're not catching the top guys. They were, Bruno was champion for like 7 years, something ridiculous. It's not happening. Just look, he's past 700 days, blah, blah, blah. Take the belt off of him, put it on Drew, and if you want to give it back to him, awesome. If you don't, start setting them up for Mania
versus The Rock. Take one of the belts. Do you have to take both of them?
Yeah, unfortunately that's the problem.
Not unless you clarify. I don't know. It's that whole two belts thing is complicated.
I'm ready for them literally to we've talked about it. They should just unify those two belts, and they should unify the tag belts and just have one set of tag team champions and one main champion again, and just kill the brand split. There's no.
I hear the women's tag belts are coming back tonight.
We'll see.
More of the game era.
Maybe. You never know. But, so look, Kevin Owens, Gunther, Lashley, Riddle, Drew McIntyre, there's something there. Who would you love to see, right? Who would you love to see against Brock Lesnar? Especially considering he's been advertised at day one. Who's he going to face? Got to be somebody. And it ain't supposed to be Roman Reigns. So who's next? As Goldberg would say. I mean, honestly,
maybe it's Goldberg.
Maybe it's Goldberg here in Atlanta at day 100. Yep, sold. Book it out. But but look, the one thing about those two dudes, they're in phenomenal shape. They're in great shape, and I know one way you could do that, Myron, is hit up our friends right over to Athletic Greens. Our next partner has a product I use literally every day. I started taking AG1 because I wanted more energy, and I wanted to see what was all the hype about. So what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, even aging. I personally use it because when I started this keto fasting diet I'm on, I was worried about the energy I was going to have. Not now. It supports better sleep quality, recovery, mental clarity, even alertness. By the way, it's cheaper than getting all the different supplements that's in this thing. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 five-star reviews and even recommended by professional athletes. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient and daily nutrition. It's 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements that you're looking to look out for your health. So to make it easy for you, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you got to do is visit their website at athleticgreens.com/emerging. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/emerging to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. That's right, man. Check out our friends. We always greatly appreciate it. You see it scrolling right there on the screen. athleticgreens.com/emerging. Sign up today. Well, that's enough about the WWE stuff, man, on the huge weekend we had. I did have a couple people message me, and, I addressed some of this again. So this is why you should probably sign up as a member behind the paywalls, because, like, some of the stuff I kind of touch on in my daily things. And but the one I wanted to address now, somebody was asking me, WWE's got a ton of momentum. They got a lot of buzz with Triple H taking over and Vince stepping down, and a lot of people see that as all of the positives. Well, I had brought up AEW, on the other hand, has some challenges that they haven't had in the past. Look, they're going to be fine. And I always start there. They're going to be fine. And we're not trying to set people into panic mode. But somebody said, what are some of the biggest challenges they have, Myron? And I know the first one you brought up was what?
Ooh, they're overcrowded. And you can't talk to everybody. But apparently there's not a good line of communication in that crowded room. And some people are saying they're left out. Was it Brian Cage's wife that started?
She started, and then he put something recently. I saw it on, I think it was Twitter, and I was like, damn. Oh. Did you see it? He said something to the
I didn't see that, no.
He said, it's great doing what you love, but not getting to do it. But it sucks not getting to do what you love. So basically, they was essentially, I'm signed to a pro wrestling contract and I got paid, but I'm not getting used on TV and I'm not getting used at all. So I'm getting paid to do nothing. So am I really getting to do what I love?
Oh, yeah.
And we all know about the Gresham thing.
Yeah.
And I don't understand, Myron. He was like ranked number 20 in the PWI.
Yeah, you think that a guy with that high PWI rating would have... Oh, come on. Jesus Christ.
And I get some guys where
I paid the right people.
Joey Janela and Marco Stunt, they've all kind of... Here's the thing. It's not like... I get it. They're probably just... They're not completely thrilled they've been not renewed. They weren't let go. Their contracts weren't renewed.
He didn't say anything. He didn't go and tell them they weren't getting renewed. He just kind of let them fall off the roster.
Right.
And it's... Wrestling's is a communication business. Okay? You have to talk to the people you work with to find out how things are going to go. Wrestlers are typically not shy people. I don't know if I've ever met a really shy one. They typically talk and handle what they have to do. They're showmen. They're performers. Tony Khan,
he should be. That's not. See, this is where I think the biggest obstacle is that it's not. You can easily fix the things that are being complained about. The problem is we're starting to hear the grumbles. Like, when you start hearing guys complain. And here's the thing: how long ago how was it when we said the roster was getting too big. People were going to start getting left out. That eventually you start experiencing the problems that these larger companies have.
Yes.
This was not unforeseen, and it's not unusual. It's just they're starting to hear them for the first time, and I think therein lies. When I call it a challenge, that doesn't mean the company's doomed and they're wrecked. Anytime you're in business, you will eventually encounter challenges, and it's how do you react to those challenges and overcome them that will determine your future.
Now, is this something we're talking about because for so long this whole AEW thing was put over Sunshine and Rainbows, and it was the greatest thing ever, and it's the greatest wrestling company ever, and now they're having regular wrestling company problems?
Well, here's the look off. I'm going to come to that one last because I'll tell you why I think they're really going to notice all these things at the end. So hang around. There's a few points I want to get to.
Okay.
Two's commentary, by the way. It's weird that I like so many pieces of their commentary, yet I don't like the overall commentary. Is that weird?
No, you're right.
I don't think they have a. I know people didn't like WWE commentary with Vince and the headset, and I understand that. This past weekend we heard, and I thought it was pretty good. And by the way, hands down, I don't care. And this is again my take, so my take's not wrong because it's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Pat McAfee is the best commentator in wrestling right now.
In my opinion, yes.
He's got energy. He's got everything, all of that.
But he's not Mauro Ranallo energy, which he used to drive me crazy.
He's just different. So I think they just need to settle on a crew. I think they have too many pieces. Look, I don't like Raw's 3-man team, so there's already that.
No.
There are nights that I feel like there's a 5-man Dynamite / Rampage team. And I'm like, and I know I'm exaggerating, but that's what it feels like at times. Because I'm like, who the hell's on commentary? Like literally, I feel like there's 4 or 5 guys on there, and I know there's not, but it feels like it. So I think they need to settle into that. And maybe and I don't even know who it is because I like all of the pieces. So that's another. But anyway,
well.
The stalled momentum of MJF I think is a huge issue. Like I don't know I don't know what it is. And here's the problem. It's an opportunity. It's not a problem. It's a challenge. If he's being held out until Punk comes back, I just think it's a lot of wasted potential. People forget wrestling is an out of sight, out of mind business. Especially when you had a ton of momentum. And I know everybody's like, he will get a huge pop when he comes back. Don't get me wrong. But I just feel like there's a lot of wasted opportunity there. They also, speaking like, okay, so he's going to get a return, right? One of the things that I feel like, we remember us talking about a while back that it was like AEW just constantly is shooting out somebody's debuting, somebody's returning, debut. They haven't done one of those in a while, and here's the problem. I think the fans are missing it because we were conditioned that you're supposed to be getting one every couple weeks. And when you go through stretches where you're not getting them, people are like...
Well, that's why they bring out new belts every week.
Problem number 4. We just had a conversation literally at the beginning of the show that WWE needs to get rid of the 2 tag belts, the 2 singles titles, shave, trim the fat on the titles. There's just too many. There's too many belts in general. The reason why I say there's too many titles is it goes in par, Myron, with part 1. It's too bloated of a roster. There's too many belts. You don't have enough TV time. And I know everybody's like Dark at Elevation. Let me blunt. I don't watch Dark at Elevation beginning to end. I don't have that kind of time.
I'll watch if I know somebody I know is going to be on there. I'll watch Dark. If I see a local guy or somebody that I really like going to be on there, I'll watch Dark.
Guess what? It's time stamped.
Yeah.
Just like we do. You know why I do that for the show? Because I fully understand there are people that are like, you know what? I'm a WWE fan. I don't want to listen to all the other stuff. Timestamp. Click on it and you can listen to those topics. That's exactly what I do with Dark and Elevation, etc. on YouTube. If there's some match of somebody I want to see, I click on it and I'm like, that's what I watch.
Well, do they need another TV show? Hell, they've got an extra wrestling company, Nick. They have a whole other wrestling company they don't have on TV
Hence,
yet.
that's part of the problem with all of the belts. You have Ring of Honor's belts and you have your belts, and you just keep adding because now you have a Trios belt that's going to be crowned on All Out or All In or whatever the hell it's called now, right? So my whole point is
they're running the risk of losing me if it weren't for guys like MJF and even Chris Jericho, since I was born a Jericho fan. Not really, but I mean, he came out when I was a younger. I remember. They run the risk of losing me with all these belts and some of the stuff they're doing.
Yeah.
It's just not, to me, it's not as interesting as it was when they first came on.
Well, speaking of that same type of thing, because we're talking about things that aren't as good as when it first came on and things about, that not having enough hours on television. Well, here's their problem. Your third hour of TV, because you have 2 hours of Dynamite, you have an hour of Rampage. Rampage doesn't even feel like it's must-see TV anymore. I don't even know how the hell it happened. Like, if you don't have enough TV time to fill the thing, but yet and maybe it's just me, and I get it. There's just maybe it's this, and here's my problem with it. And I've always said about, look, I get it. It's a bad time slot, and people are like, no, it's not. Yes, it is. Their target demo is 18 to 49. That's what they shoot for. How many 18 to 14-year-old or 18 to 49-year-olds are home at Friday at 10 o'clock? I don't even want,
I'm technically 49, but I'm usually at home because I got home from work. But I'm at a point where I've already seen 2 hours of wrestling.
I will just, you want me to prove a point?
What's that?
Lots of times, if you weren't at work, you'd be out at a wrestling show.
Yes.
So you see what I mean?
Yes.
And that's kind of my point, that I'm like, if you weren't at work, or you weren't coming home from work, so you'll watch it. Typically half of your fans that watch your show on Wednesday watch your show on Friday. Your excuse is, and it's a reason, it's not an excuse. Let me back up because I agree with it. Your target demo shouldn't be at home. Like the time slots you have. Somebody was like, well, 2 million people watch. Because you know what Smackdown does on a Friday night? They also appeal to kids. Guess who's home on a Friday night? Kids that can't drive.
Yeah.
They're watching it. Yeah, and their families.
10 o'clock bedtimes.
I mean, they're watching Smackdown from 8 to 10. So it's like, by the way, the fucking Smackdown's got a bunch of old people that watch it. But they're home. Like your target demo's not home.
And even if you are the target demo, after you watch 2 hours of wrestling, a third one's a tough sell. Everybody bitches about Raw being too long, and they've basically just made the third hour of SmackDown.
Right. But even if you're here's my thing. If you're anti WWE, you typically scream out you're the personality who wouldn't be home at a Friday at 10. So I'm not.
Unless you're just neckbeards.
They can't control. That's the thing. They can't control the time slot they have. I'm defending them in that sense. It's not their fault that that's the time slot they have. It's not really, honestly, it's not even their fault that they tape it, because it makes perfect business sense that they tape it right after Dynamite. It makes sense.
But I hear people leave the live tapings.
People leave because it's late. It is what it is. I mean, but my take is, it's a long recording, it's a long night, but here's the thing: if Rampage doesn't feel must see, which it doesn't, I can honestly tell you, I couldn't tell you the last time I watched it live, because I never watch it live. I'm always like, there's something else that either I'm at a wrestling show on a Friday, like this Friday. Here's your perfect example. I won't even watch SmackDown because I'll be at Southern Honor this Friday at the Rumble Jack.
Yeah. I'll be at work.
Yeah, but you'll be at work. But I mean, it is what it is. So my take is simple, Myron. They're going to have challenges. I think they will be fine and they will overcome them. But they've really got to be careful, because my point to all of this was the momentum. They've always had all of the momentum and all of the push. but it's always been anti-Vince, anti-WWE. With Vince gone
Yeah.
and Triple H taking over, and everybody saying like, "Yay!" They are dangerously in a position where, remember when WCW took all the momentum away, and for 83 weeks, Eric Bischoff and WCW kicked the shit out of them in the ratings. Then something happened, and that momentum switched back, and WCW was done.
Gone.
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
Yeah.
So
the good guys are in control now.
The good guys are in control, and if WWE gets the momentum back, it could be a thing. I, however, think that the AEW has all of the tools in the tool bag to be successful and hang on and be, keep their spot. But speaking of spot, not my spot, not your spot. Speaking of spots, somebody asked the other day, well, the whole rumors of guys, and there's a reason why I have Andrade there. We'll come back to him in a second. Wrestlers who we think could actually leave AEW and go to WWE and could be stars. Now, I'm not saying some of them are not going to return. There's going to be many layers. Who you got, Myron? Who's one that you think you could do?
I'm just sitting here and it's like, well, Andrade's been there before, but I don't think Andrade got the full shot, to be honest with you. I don't think he got with Vince there. I don't think he got able to live up to his potential. So that's a good point. Especially as hot as he is right now.
Do you think he was on a shorter leash at the time? And I don't mean that. I'm just saying he wasn't given as much time.
He wasn't given as much time, and he wasn't given the Mexican style wrestling requires a more, what do you want to call it? What's the word I'm looking for? You can't pigeonhole it down into traditional American wrestling. Rey Mysterio was the greatest crossover star of all time, in my opinion.
Sure.
For Mexican wrestling to the American style wrestling. Andrade needs a little bit more.
I don't know, man. We saw him last night. I think he did pretty damn good.
He did great, but I don't think you can handle him the same way you would handle somebody or promote him the same way.
No, I see what you're. Yes, but I think he's one that I was like, they're always looking for for that next, Latino star.
He's got the look.
And I think he's, hands down, he's the guy. And I could actually see, I don't know why he left, to be honest with you. I don't. And maybe, who knows? I mean, if Triple H could promise him the moon and the stars and get him back and Charlotte's there, it would make sense, right? To be happy.
Yeah.
The funny thing is my answer doesn't change. I've always said that Brian Cage would be a star whether Vince was in charge or the Triple H was in charge, but I think Triple H could see. I think Triple H would see him as Batista. That's what I always think.
Yeah.
That's just my take on it.
Yes.
Lance Archer's another big dude. I think they could make a monster out of.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Then I kind of went entertaining. Ethan Page.
Great personality. That guy has charisma. He's athletic. He's a good wrestler. He's got he's a good total package.
Yeah. And then last but not least, you brought up a woman that you thought would be...
Thunder Rosa. Oh yeah. She's phenomenally talented. She's marketable easily. I think she'd be a great crossover star.
It's funny. So. The reason why I agree with her so much, I made a comment when we were discussing the Andrade thing, me and the friend of the show. Why does the next Latino star have to be a male?
Oh yeah.
Why? I think it could be Thunder Rosa.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So market the hell out of her mask with the paint, and stuff like that.
Yeah, little girls would love that stuff.
Yeah, like a mask, it's like a half a mask or something like that you put on. Yeah, I was like, dude, something like that. Plus, not to mention, why not occasionally she comes out in the mask? Mm-hmm. Remember when she did the mask, like do some of that or whatever. But I think, plus, I mean, the matches with like her and Becky and and Charlotte.
Oh yeah,
so they'll be so good.
Oh yeah,
Bianca on and on and on. So that's some people that I think would make the cut. But if you're not making the cut in the bathroom, man, there are times when you have to call in our friends at Manscaped.
Whoa! personal foul.
What the feezy?
You can't use a beard trimmer below the 50-yard line. This is the Waterproof Lawnmower 4.0 by Manscaped.
What's the difference?
It's got new skin-safe technology to help reduce cuts and nicks. It's powerful, yet gentle, just like me.
Dog, I appreciate you.
Boop.
Hey, watch out.
I'm not ticklish. Get yours at manscaped.com.
That's right, man. Go on and jump into the show notes there. Click on it and, support our sponsors over at Manscaped. We'd greatly appreciate it. It always helps out on the show. But, man, now we come to the thing everybody's probably talking about here on a Monday morning. We obviously were messaging back and forth. We were in a group chat with friend of the show, Heath. We were kind of all going back and forth about Ric Flair's last match, man.
Well, let's just say, if we separate that into two shows, the Flair match and then your undercard, the undercard was great. That would have been if that was an Impact pay-per-view, I would have paid $35 for that undercard. It was good, solid matches. I think I enjoyed almost all of it except for that the GCW invasion thing. All the matches, in my opinion, were very good, but Lord, the Flair thing, I cried. Not because I felt bad for Flair. I cried because of the emotion and the power of having Foley, Bret Hart, Undertaker right there with a bloody Ric Flair standing in front of him. That just tore me up. This might have been the greatest wrestling match of all time. But it was a wrestling match, okay? It wasn't the kind of match where Kenny Omega would have got 13 stars in the Tokyo Dome, okay? Meltzer probably will shit all over this match. Was it quality of the match itself was okay. Flair did much better than I thought. Jeff Jarrett is a phenomenal professional. Andrade's terrific. Jay Lethal is really, really good. Actually, terrific also. But Jarrett's he still has it. He still has
I saw a
everything.
post and agree or disagree. Jarrett could be working a full-time schedule at his age right now. I think so.
I think so. I don't think he's lost a step. Because he did the Tennessee style wrestling. He didn't have to do all that stuff where he flew around the ring and
he wrestled
all that other stuff.
He got heat. I mean, God forbid, like he went out there and he actually wasn't afraid. It amazed me, like when I watched that I was thinking that how many people should be watching this right now to get Jeff and Karen Jarrett the heat they were getting and no fucks to give. They were literally getting heat.
And he works for WWE.
Yeah.
But he was out there getting heat like he was in Memphis. Jesus Christ.
It was a clinic on how to get heat. I mean, was it cheap heat at times? It was heat nonetheless. He was, those people were hating him.
Heat is heat.
I mean, it was, and they didn't pull any punches and everything. It was awesome. Now, I will agree with you. There were times in that match it was a little uncomfortable to watch. But I've said from day one, you know me, I'm Mr. Self-Accountability and Mr. Self-Whatever. I'm like, if he wants to wrestle and the doctors clear him, it's his choice. I mean, who the hell am I to tell him no, right? I mean, that's just the way I am. I'm like, if that's it, it's cool. Were there moments at the match that, like you said, it was sloppy a little bit? I'm like, no, it looked like a 70-year-old man and like fighting. Like he wasn't.
I wasn't even going to buy this thing, Nick. I thought this was a horrible idea. I've been trying to talk against it until I saw that promo video they did where they bloodied Flair in the parking lot. Then I had to.
Right.
And then I did, and it was everything I wanted it to be.
Was it a 5-star match? No. Was the match everything you wanted and what you didn't even know you wanted?
Yes.
Yes. It's funny. You brought up all the matches in there, and here's the crazy thing. There were people we know personally on that show. And by the way, one of them, I said, dude, it is amazing. Shout out to friend of the show, Alan Tucker and Alan Angels. I was like, he has amazingly like gotten so good that I
He's
like
just
you didn't
phenomenal.
even I didn't even see like
He's
he
bigger.
wasn't showcased enough in my opinion in AEW to even
No.
see how
He had
good
that
he's
mask on. Yeah, he didn't like wrestling in a mask, I heard. But the thing was, he looked like a professional. He didn't look like some guy we knew from the indies. He went out there and worked like a professional wrestler.
He hung
Like he
with
would've-
Gresham, who people claim
Yes.
is the one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Yes.
So kudos to that. Now, I said that because I was saying all of those matches were really good. Some were great. However, in 5 to 10 years, the only thing we're going to remember is Ric Flair and the moments. Last time I checked, by the way, if you remember behind the paywall, you had heard something similar to this earlier today. Last time I checked, that's what moments were about. But that's wrestling, right? It's about moments. We always tell people, I do. There aren't many matches that you remember forever because they were great technical wrestling. Does it happen? Yes, I get it. Here's the problem. I always wonder when people are like, oh, the greatest matches of all time, Ricky Steamboat and Randy Savage. Do you believe that, or have you just been told that long enough that that's what you think too? Because I will tell you the argument what have I always said? What's the greatest wrestling match of all time? Hulk Hogan versus The Rock at WrestleMania.
Yeah. I've talked to people that said the same thing.
Because it's the epitome of what wrestling is.
Yeah.
Ric Flair, Andrade, Jeff Jarrett, and Jay Lethal did something the same. 5 to 10 years, you won't remember those. You'll remember that. And like you said, Myron the fan will remember Taker and Ric Flair talking, hugging there after the match in that moment.
Yeah. It was... I had a fan weekend. I had the best fan weekend I've had in a long time, Nick, because you said it Saturday night. That was fun Saturday night.
Yeah.
That was that whole show was fun. Sat down last night. I watched the show, a good wrestling show. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And then I got that at the end. I just had everything, every emotion that professional wrestling can bring out in you, that match brought out in me.
And here's the thing, Myron. I wanted to address this with you because it was one of the best decisions we unintentionally ever made. We discussed doing a watch along, like me and you watching that pay-per-view and like commentating live on our YouTube stream or something like that. And I'll tell you the real reason I decided, like, I just don't think we should do this. I was afraid we would fall in the mode where we were dissecting matches and critiquing things or whatever. And I wanted to watch Flair's thing as a fan. And I 100% agree.
I acted like a fool.
We did. I'm glad we didn't do it.
Yeah, I acted like a fool down here. Sitting down here in my desk chair. I got the TV here in front of me. Just letting it go. Just watching that. And experiencing it. It was the experience of the whole thing. And people were like, well, look at this. Flair looked horrible. I didn't notice.
I did. And here's the thing. I didn't notice at moments. You were just like, I made the comment. There's parts of it that it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Parts of it are scary and sad. But at the end of the day, it was a cool fucking moment.
This is what like women must feel when they watch Titanic or something. Okay? Or whatever romantic movies they watch.
Not a bad comparison when you think about what I just said. Right?
Yeah, because it drug it all out of me. I was highs and lows and scared and excited and sad and over. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So
he's like old as fuck.
Yeah, but kudos to the man.
His butthole wasn't even connected a few years ago.
Yeah, kudos to the guy. Let's look. He went out on his terms. Kudos, shout outs, and nothing but love for the Nature Boy for doing his thing. Look, I'm not getting into the whole, look, we did it on somebody else recently. We're not going to bash down about his past and all that kind of crazy stuff. It was just about,
Conrad.
yeah, absolutely. And look, I cut one the next morning on SummerSlam. I cut one the next morning after the Ric Flair, right there on our YouTube channel. The members, everything, look, I dump stuff literally. I try to do it in the car. I try to do it at home, wherever I'm convenient, to make it happen. When the thoughts pop into my head, it's super easy. Make sure you become a member over there. You can also just subscribe there, like it, turn your notifications on, all that good shit. But of course, if you're a podcast listener and you're just the audio only, make sure you're subscribing somewhere, anywhere, everywhere, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartMedia, Google Podcast, etc. And while you're at it, why don't you throw us a 5-star rating review on there if you feel so inclined? We would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as always, we ask you, head over to Manscaped. In the show notes, there's a link there for you. Athletic Greens, sponsor the show there, athleticgreens.com/emerging. Sign up today. And, it always helps to support the show. We greatly appreciate it in every shape, form, fashion. But like you said, Myron, we can round it out with one thing, man. That's a hell of a weekend of wrestling, man.
Yeah. For not live wrestling, for wrestling I watched at home.
Yeah.
Good God. My son don't ever watch wrestling anymore. He sat up and watched the whole thing. And then I actually got to the point, Saturday night, I sat down with him and watched wrestling. I hadn't watched wrestling with him in forever. And it was bonding over wrestling. I couldn't have had a better wrestling weekend.
Yeah. It's cool shit, man.
Yeah.
Well, brother, that's everything I've got. You got anything else other to go over and stuff?
No, I'm drained just even talking about that, Matt.
What's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.